Hello, I'm Ross Taylor. This is a story about two men, two islands, and two really good weeks. You know, have you ever had one of those days when you make a phone call to an old mate and nostalgia kicks in and you start fantasizing about the things you used to do, 50 years ago? And before you know it, you're making plans for a new adventure together. Well, I suggested to my old mate Bob Sullivan, hey mate, how about you and I do a couple of weeks together on Fraser Island? Oh, I've got the four-wheel drive and all the camping gear, Bob says. Well, Bob lives in Caboolture, only an hour north of Brisbane Airport. That's halfway there, really. No sooner do I hang up and I think, maybe these old 70-year-old codgers are writing checks their bodies can't cash. Nah, ignore that, thought I. Live in denial. So, what date? How long? What food? How much water? Where do we start from here? Noosa, Harvey Bay, Inskip Point. How can I fit this into my busy schedule? Hang on a minute, busy schedule. I'm retired. Once upon a time, I'd work all day, come home, mow the lawn, wash the car, be out for a meeting at 7, then pay the bills online before going to bed. Well, now, all Wednesday's taken up going shopping. On Thursday, no, mowing the lawn. Friday, well, I'm washing the car. Sunday, no, I'm going to church. Wow, too busy for anything. Well, hi Bob, been a couple of weeks since we talked. Are you still keen on Fraser Island trip? Oh, yes, he says. But I've just got to get a few details on what you're thinking so I can plan the trip. Plan? The word splats like a bug on the windscreen of my adventured vision. And I realise that we're two of a kind, both planners on the one trip together in the same four-wheel drive. Times, dates, fly in, fly out, stops, equipment, etc., 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 lists, maps, tide, cycles, moon phases, the whole 9 yards. Oh, this will be interesting. Never mind, I'll let him think he's the alpha male. She'll be right, mate. But like two peas in a pod, two crows in a paddock, we're thinking the same. Minimum gear, maximum fun, and it'll take about 10 or 12 days. I'll fly into Brisbane on Monday the 21st of October. Bob will meet me there and we'll head up to Inskip Point, camp for the night, wait for the old ferry, the old manta ray, to take us across to Fraser Island the next morning. Bob volunteers to make a list of campsites and national park permits and all the necessary rations, fuel and water points and dozens of other things. My answer simply, okay mate. And I hang up and book the flights. Well, Fraser Island is just off the Queensland eastern coast. It is the world's largest sand island. It stretches for about 120 kilometres. And all told, it covers 1,800 kilometres square with high points up to 800 feet and numerous freshwater lakes and spectacular ribbons of coloured sands and long beaches with rolling surf coming off the Pacific Ocean. The whole island is a heritage site and an Australian national park. The traditional owners are recognised as the Butchulla people and call the island Kagari, and there's several satellite islands like Slane and Tooth and Roundbush and Moonboom, Gardner, Dream, Stewart and Reef Islands on the western side that make up the country of Fraser. Now, more than just sand, it has rainforests and eucalyptus trees, mangroves and peat swamps. The vegetation is abundant due to a sort of a fungus that grows in the sand that releases nutrients for the plants to grow. How about that, eh? The most northern tip is Sandy Cape. A lighthouse was built there in the 1870s and ran until 1994. It's still there as a tourist attraction and accommodation for various environmental rangers and so forth. The most southern point is Hook Point, only a kilometre or so from Inskip Point on the mainland, and will be our barge crossing. Thursday the 17th of October. We're only a few days from crossing the start line. Just a minute or two phone calls, watching dozens of YouTube clips and intrepid four-wheel drivers navigating the sandy tracks. Of course, you're not allowed on Fraser with anything less than a four-wheel drive. They'll turn you around at the barge crossing. Well, both of us have been taking notes from the video clips, things like tyre pressure, snatch traps, recovery tracks, shovels, ropes, suitable camping gear. The phone calls between us have been reduced to under an hour by now and are closer to 3 or 4 minutes. And, they go something like this, have you thought of clothes pegs? Yep, good one. Camping and vehicle permits? Yep, all good. Okay, see you Monday morning. Bob tells me he paid for a visit to the National Parks office in Noosa to get the latest on fires and fuel and campsites, etc. He reveals to me that the young woman behind the counter looked at him and looked up and down, quickly decided she was dealing with an old moth-eaten 70 plus who was taking his equally old moth-eaten mate on Fraser on adventure. Better make sure we put you two old blokes in a safe dingo fence camping area. What she didn't know that these couple of old blokes knew how to handle dingoes. Yes, sirree, Bob. The fence would be needed to protect those mongrel dingoes from these old seasoned bushmen. Yeah, right. Whatever. If we were any more true blue, we would be on horses eating bush tucker and sleeping on swags under the stars. Whoops. Just step back from daydreaming and into reality. We'll be in a Toyota Land Cruiser. We'll have our personalised tents. We'll have gas stoves, bottled water, blow-up airbeds, sleep apnea machines, and all the go. The closest we'll get to bush tucker will be a meat pie from the bakery at Eurong Beach Resort. Well, the permits are all sorted and paid for in advance for Central Station, Eli Creek, Dundubra and Waddy Point. We've got tide charts printed and highlighted, so when we know, we'll know when to use the beach road. Of course, road rules apply. You keep to the left, wear seat belts, 80 kilometres maximum on the beach, slower on inland tracks, and the vehicle must be registered. We think we've got it covered, got it all done. For the past few weeks, like mice and men with the best laid plans, we have made our appreciations, we've done our homework, we've assessed the objectives, we've considered a dozen battle strategies, discussed logistics, weather, moon, tides, and we've come to a final plan. Like military planners, we have situation, mission, execution, logistics, administration, signals down pat, and ready to assemble at the start line. Well, end skip point 5 p.m. or 1700 hours. I seem to hear the words of one of my commanding officers from my military days. No plan of operation extends with any certainty beyond the first encounter with the enemy's main strength. Oh, we'll see.